Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. The United States District Court for the Northern District of Florida is now in session. The Honorable Lacey Collier, Senior United States District Judge presiding. The Honorable Hope Cannon, United States Magistrate Judge. The Honorable Jeff Burns, State of Florida Circuit Court Judge assisting. All who have cause to plead, draw nigh, give attention, and ye shall be heard. God save the United States, the State of Florida, and their honorable courts.
Ma'am, please be seated. And ladies and gentlemen, let me first welcome you here today. It's my pleasure to have you join us in this celebration of citizenship. My name is Lacey Collier, and I'm a district court judge here in Pensacola. And let me first apologize for any confusion or inconvenience to you as to the location of this ceremony here today. We normally do this in the so-called ceremonial courtroom over in our courthouse. Those of you who follow the day-to-day know that we've been out of that courthouse for quite some time while it's been renovated. And so we're very grateful to Elaine Major and Robert Greer and Chris Johnson and the rest of the management team here in City Hall for making this available to us. And we do have today with us, that I wish to offer thanks to as well, our Mayor Grover Robinson. He'll be more properly introduced to you along with the program. And in spite of the fact that we are here in the City Hall, this is an official court proceeding, and this council room serves as our courtroom here today. And so I want to thank all of the court staff first, especially Will Moore, Sue Sims, Irma McCain, Shane Shale, and our court security personnel for making this transition from the courthouse to this City Hall chambers as smooth as possible. And as you might imagine, this is a very special day for our court. It's not often that the court gets to enjoy a courtroom full of happy people. Because it seems that no matter what we do, what decision we make, half the room is unhappy and the other half might be happy. So this is a special day when everybody is smiling, and we truly enjoy being part of these ceremonies over the years. And I had occasion just to look back and think in the first naturalization ceremony that I participated in was May Day 1984. So you can see that I enjoy them because I come every chance that I get. But today's ceremony is even more special because of what we celebrated on Tuesday of this week, which of course was the 232nd anniversary of the signing of the United States Constitution, and annual celebration of Constitution Day and Citizenship Day. And it's so fitting to hold a naturalization ceremony in connection with Constitution Day, because this ceremony is literally a living civics lesson in citizenship. Just a few housekeeping matters. First of all, feel free to take pictures as you wish. Some of you may know normally cameras are not allowed in the courtroom, but this is a special occasion and special day, so feel free as the ceremony progresses. And also way ahead of schedule, but do remind the new citizens to remain seated after the ceremony to be sure that you get your certificates. And we'll also take photographs, if you wish, after the ceremony. Now, we do today have many distinguished guests and friends of the court present with us this morning, and I do want to take just a moment to recognize several of them. But first, I want to introduce my colleagues here on the bench. First, to my left, I'm joined by Magistrate Judge Hope Cannon, who serves on our court. And to my right is Judge Jeff Burns, my state court colleague, who serves on the bench of Florida's First Judicial Circuit here in Escambia County. And we also have with us, and if you just wave your hand as I might call your name, Mr. Zachary Smith, who is Assistant United States Attorney with the Department of Justice, and he will make the motion for admission of the candidates as new citizens. And Dr. Leo Day, who's a dear, dear friend of the court, who will perform the national anthem for you and will also perform a patriotic celebration of song at the end of the program. Dr. Day was formerly the minister of music at Olive Baptist Church here in Pensacola, and he's now the dean of the School of Music at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary in Fort Worth, Texas. You may wonder what he's doing here today, and we'll explain that to you along the way. But we lost him to Texas a couple of years ago, and we've never fully recovered from that. But I'm pleased that Dr. Day continues to travel back and forth from Texas here to Pensacola to participate in these naturalization ceremonies. And I might point out to you that he does this on his own time and his own dime. And he does this because I happen to know that he loves these ceremonies and the inspiration that he receives from all of you. And for those who've not heard Dr. Day before, get ready. You are in for a very, very special treat. And for those of you who have heard Dr. Day before, then I know why you're back here again. And we're very fortunate to have with us today as our guest speaker, Mayor Grover Robinson, dear friend of our court and highly respected historian. And he will receive a more proper introduction when that time comes. And Mr. Kevin Kearns, is he with us here? At any rate, he's General Service Administration Region Commissioner. And from the Escambia Santa Rosa Bar Association. And you wonder what that might be? It's our local attorneys organization. But we have Mr. Warren Todd, and do we have Jeff Knoll with us?
Jeff,
yeah. And Mr. Michael Gardner and Melissa Eisler and Ms. Crystal Patton with the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services in Montgomery, Alabama, an agency that I know is near and dear to your hearts. And in particular, and I would like to ask them to stand at this time, the 7th grade civics class students from Ransom Middle School. Thank you. And they're here with their teacher, Dennis Mack Isaac, and they will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance a little bit later in the ceremony and have other participation as well during our ceremony here today. And our color guard today is the United States Marine Corps MATSIG 23 stationed at the Naval Air Station, Pensacola. And we do have many other special guests with us from the community. All have contributed to making this day possible. And the organization that they represent and the community contributions they have made to the ceremony appear on the inside of your program. And I hope you'll take a moment to review it, because the court does appreciate very much the participation of all of these organizations. This ceremony would not be nearly as special for the new Senate citizens if it was not for their support. Let me add one more housekeeping matter that may be important to a few of you. That is that this ceremony often exceeds an hour in length. We do have a full program, and that's intentional by design. And our court and our community partners have worked very long and hard to put together a special ceremony as we can possibly make it for our new citizens. And they are our main focus here this morning. But of course, if anyone had a need of taking a break or leaving before we conclude the program, feel free to do that. We do ask that you do it as quietly as you possibly can. And ladies and gentlemen, the new to-be citizens, you are indeed the very focus of this morning, and for good reason. You are here today because you have achieved something quite extraordinary, something that millions of people around the world can only dream about. And I would suspect that some of you have been dreaming about it for many years as well, and that is American citizenship. And today you will indeed, and listen carefully to this, you will receive the highest title, the highest honor that our government can bestow on anyone. And that is, of course, the United States citizen. And it's an honor for our court, for everyone in this room, to share that special occasion with you, your family, and your friends. And today we have 81 candidates for citizenship from 38 different countries around the world. When you look at the program, you will see all of these candidates hail from countries literally all across the globe. For example, we have people here today from the United Kingdom, India, Vietnam, Thailand, Russia, Spain, Egypt, Syria, Peru, South Africa, Canada, just to name a few. And it's not surprising that with this vast geographical diversity comes a wonderful cultural diversity as well. And in fact, it's just this very sort of diversity that's reflected right here in this group here today that has made our country as unique and wonderful as it is, and has given America the distinction of being known as the great melting pot. And one of my colleagues on the bench, who happens to be from Louisiana, has described it as a pot of gumbo, which of course is a dish made of a whole bunch of different ingredients that by themselves individually are not very appetizing. But when you put them in one pot, blended together, they make a wonderful, tasty stew. And I agree with her that that's how this country is. We are better because we are diverse and unique, and we are many. That, of course, is reflected by our nation's motto, E pluribus unum, which translates one out of many. And we are truly one nation that has grown out of the contribution of many. And it's truly exciting to consider the ways in which you will all help to build our nation further. And so today, ladies and gentlemen, America welcomes you, your unique heritage, into this wonderful pot of stew, just as she has done for over 200 years with millions of people who have come before you. And I think we all can appreciate that this is a very, very special ceremony for the new candidates and their family. But it's also very special for all of us in the room, because the ceremony provides for us the perfect opportunity to reflect on our own citizenship and what it means to each of us individually to be an American, and just how truly blessed we are to live in such a great country as this, and to be able to enjoy the numerous rights and privileges that we have as Americans. And freedom of speech, freedom of religion, or the right to due process of law and equal justice, and the privilege to vote, among many others. And as you consider this, I also ask that you reflect back a bit and remember that this month, just 9 days ago, September the 11th, we marked the 18th anniversary of 9/11 and the worst attack on the soil of the United States in our nation's history, and the worst assault ever on its democratic freedoms, which resulted in the tragic loss of over 3,000 lives, the majority of whom were American citizens. Every day since then, including at this very moment, America has been under attack in the Middle East and in Africa and a few other spots, which has resulted in thousands more American lives being lost, many of them serving in our military. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as you think about your own citizenship, do remember that our American freedoms, those which most, if not all of our candidates, have come here seeking, they're not by any means free. They come at great cost, and the cost has largely been paid by the men and women serving in our military forces, and many instances where the ultimate price has been paid. And I do ask that you think about your own citizenship and your own freedom, and to remember those brave Americans that have given their lives for that cause, and also those who are now serving in our armed forces in places such as the Middle East, Africa, and elsewhere. Now, the answer to the question, what does it mean to you to be an American, is actually something that we begin to formulate when we're young. And young people often have very good insight into that question. And I have asked the students from Ransom Middle School, the 7th grade civics class, to think about what it means to each of them to be an American and to put their thoughts down in writing in an essay. And all of the students did a wonderful job with their essays, but there were two that stood out and really said it best. And those were written by Aiden Mayer and Liberty Fernandez. And I have asked both Aiden and Liberty to share their essays with us, and they have kindly and bravely agreed to do that. So I would invite Aiden and Liberty at this time to please come forward and share your essays.
Hello, my name is Aiden Mayer, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to share my speech with you today. I want to welcome you all to this wonderful place. I know it's been a rough journey, but the best lies ahead for every single one of you. All that hard work you did pays off today. You earned every single second of this. Every life decision you ever made leads up to this very moment. You all deserve to be on a red carpet. I was asked what it means to be an American citizen. Being an American citizen is about opportunities. Whether you are going to continue your education or join the workforce. It gives us opportunities to prosper, to help our family. That is probably why you want to be an American citizen. No matter our race or religion, we can create better lives for ourselves and our family. Being an American citizen doesn't mean you're just free. It also means we must help one another. We should give back and help others. I believe that being an American is about being a family. We should all love one another, encourage one another, and help one another. I would like to be one of the first to welcome you to our family, the American family. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Liberty Fernandez. I am very happy to be with you today and share this special occasion with you as you start out on your new journey of being an American citizen. I would like to share with you a few thoughts of what being an American has meant to me. I think it means to live here in America. We all have the right to be free to me. That means we have the right to create. We can create anything our mind can think of. We can be whoever we wish to be. Your new adventure is in your hands, but remember, as new citizens, we have a responsibility to each other. We should always try to make good choices so that not only our dreams will come true, but we can help make our communities better and safer places for everyone. In my time living here, I have had both bad and good experiences. Everyone has them, but remember to get back up and wipe the dust off and keep going. I remember when my mom was having a difficult time with choices she made in her life. These choices unfortunately led her to jail. I did not know what she was up to. Before I knew it, she ended up spending time in prison. Eventually I got the chance to see her again. I was so happy, but unfortunately a few months later she went back to jail. During this time I did not know what to think, but thankfully my Nana was there for me. I'm really glad that my mom has gotten some help, but I am very grateful that my Nana was there for me during that time. We have been together since I was 7, and now I'm 12. Today, my mom lives in Georgia with her fiance, and I'm happy that she has turned her life around. Now that you have a chance to be an American, you too have a new start. You can make this adventure what you want, but remember to choose your path carefully. You can do what you want within reason, and knowing that whatever choice you make, the future and the consequences of your choices are truly up to you. The sky's the limit. The only thing holding you back is you. You can do many things now that you are here in America. One of my dreams that I have is to one day be a volcanologist. I have always had an interest in volcanoes, and I hope to reach my dream someday. So as you start your new journey here in America, remember to dream big, see many of the treasures and places that we have here in this great country, and when life gets a little tough, remember to never stop trying, because your dreams are out there waiting for you. Congratulations on becoming a new American citizen, and welcome to the United States of America.
Thank you, Aiden and Liberty. It was very impressive. I know that it's not easy to stand up in front of a room full of people and speak as you did today, but you both showed great poise and insight well beyond your years, and you have made your community in this court, and I know your family are very proud. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call upon Mr. Warren Todd, who's the president of the Escambia Santa Rosa Bar Association, for a proper introduction of our speaker here today, Mayor Grover Robinson.
May it please the court. It is a great privilege to be here today on behalf of the Escambia Santa Rosa Bar Association, and to follow up on something that Judge Collier said earlier. The purpose of the bar is somewhat, it's a symbolism. The barrier or the bar that you see in this room here where the city council convenes separates the audience from the council members and the mayor. In the courtroom there is also a similar bar, and that is what that terminology means. So it is basically a professional organization of lawyers from Escambia and Santa Rosa County. And on behalf of the Bar Association, it is my privilege to come here today and to witness each one of you become an American citizen today, which is quite the privilege. In addition, I have the honor of introducing to you the speaker today, who is Mayor Grover Robinson. And to give you a little background on Mayor Robinson, he is a seventh-generation Pensacolian who grew up in Escambia County, Florida. He graduated summa cum laude from Birmingham Southern College in 1992. Mayor Robinson obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in economics. Prior to taking office, Mayor Robinson served as Escambia County Commissioner for 12 years from 2006 to 2018, and has had an extensive history of service to the Pensacola community, which includes serving on the City of Pensacola Planning Board from 2002 to 2005. Mayor Robinson has won awards for his community involvement and service, including the Joel Old Mixon Service Award, the Presidential Advocate Award, and Leadership Pensacola. In addition, he has a variety of certificates of appreciation and recognition, including the special congressional recognition certificates from both the Florida Senate and the House of Representatives. He is actively involved with a large variety of community organizations and holds positions on Baptist Healthcare's Foundation and on the board for Pensacola State College. He's married to his wife, Jill Robinson. They have two children, Grover the fifth, Mayor Robinson is the fourth, and Anna Lowry. They are also active members at Christ Episcopal Church. On behalf of the Bar Association, I present to you Mayor Grover Robinson.
Thank you. In our family, we're not too original with names. We just add new numbers. So, but it's a pleasure to have you here. It is certainly a pleasure of mine, and I feel very honored. I got asked a second time. I guess that means last time I did this that nobody fell asleep. So I'm happy to do this again. I am sorry, however, that I am going to have to do this before the service, and I may have to leave at 11 o'clock. Sort of in an international way, we have the Consulate of Japan
will be in town today, and I have a meeting scheduled with him at 11 o'clock, and we're giving him the key to the city, so I have to slip out for that. But if I miss this ceremony, I'm with you in spirit, and continue to be so happy that you have chosen to become a part of this nation, but also that you have chosen to do that here in the city of Pensacola in the state of Florida. Real quickly on that, I can't think of a more appropriate place for us to have this ceremony. All of us in this room, not just those that are sitting over here, all of us in this room, our family, one way or another, started this journey from somewhere and came here. I think that's important to remember. And certainly when we think of Pensacola, Pensacola is the most appropriate place for us to be thinking about this, because it was Pensacola that was the first settlement from outside that came into the United States and was here. And so it has been a symbol of people coming from different areas to this place and settling. In fact, that group had people from Europe and Spain, but also those from Mexico who were native there that came to Pensacola and had a settlement. But not only is Pensacola appropriate from that reason, Pensacola is also one of the few cities in this country that really experienced naturalization. In other words, it was a part of another country when there was the United States, and it actually became a part of the United States. And that flag was raised not too far from here at Ferdinand Plaza, which is right outside of the old City Hall. Right there, almost 200 years ago in 1821, Florida and Pensacola became a part of the United States much the same way that you are today. So it is very appropriate in this community that we have a naturalization ceremony. Well, I'm here more than anything else to say how happy I am to have you in this community and to have you in this country. This is a great country where we're not bound by our ethnicities, but rather we are bound by our belief in a common set of laws and rules. And that seems very natural now, but for 200 years ago, that certainly was a very strange way to do things. But we have survived for 200 years because of what we have done and the people we've had here and the people who have continued to enrich this country by choosing to move here and become a part of it. So I'm very happy to have you here as a part of our community and to welcome you, and I'm very excited. In fact, many people come here for economic opportunity, as was discussed earlier, and those were great stories earlier. I certainly appreciate those stories. There are also issues of tragedy and war. I certainly realize the earliest family member that we know of mine that came to this country certainly came during the English Civil War, avoiding persecution in their own country. So again, there are a number of reasons by which you come here. We are simply glad to have you. And again, the issue is the American dream of coming forward and finding opportunity for you and your family as you go forward. And certainly it's not just your family today that is here with you, but this date will be remembered by your family for generations to come. And in doing that, I did want to at least briefly tell you a story of one immigrant, so I can tell you a story about their American dream and how they came to this country. There's a young man in Ireland who, again, this is the 1850s, so just coming out of the potato famine era, when economic opportunity was a challenge. So he decided he would leave Ireland and at least become part of a merchant marine and go see the world. And he was on a sailing vessel. And he came into the harbor here, Pensacola Harbor, right through Pensacola Bay, sailed past Pensacola on over to Baghdad, which was at that point one of the high points of the timber industry in northwest Florida. And while he was sailing in or sailing out, his job was to go up in the rigging and either to collect back up the sails or to let them out. And whether it was coming in or going out, he fell. He slipped from the mast and fell all the way to the deck and shattered his leg. His leg shattered. In the 1850s, a shattered leg, when you were nowhere near you had any family one way or the other, that was essentially almost a death sentence if you think about it that way. However, that man was very fortunate that a family here in Baghdad, Florida, took him in. Like so many opportunities here in Northwest Florida for generations, we have taken people in and we have worked with them. And there was a family that took him in. And that family also had they had taken in an orphan girl whose parents had died of disease like yellow fever that was rampant in this area at that time in the 19th century. Well, they ended up marrying. They built a house that I see President Saunders with UWF is now owned by UWF and was built in the 1850s and added on to. But that house, from there they farmed and their family began. That man's grandson moved to Pensacola, moved his young family to Pensacola in 1919, which is exactly 100 years ago from us today. So that man came here to become a banker and raise his young family. And that man had a son, and that man's son served in our military with distinction during World War II. And despite his wounds coming home, he became a part of the legal community. Was a leader in the legal community, eventually became a judge. And he had a family, and one of his sons was also served in our military in Vietnam. And he had the opportunity to serve in the Florida legislature. And he had a son, and that man's son was also fortunate enough to get to come back to this community in Northwest Florida. And he eventually became a county commissioner and the mayor of the city of Pensacola. So I stand before you, and that's my story. So I have no idea what may happen in your family or where you may go or generations forward, but I will tell you that those generations will remember this day when you chose to become an American citizen. Again, some of that doesn't look like we have any broken legs in here, so that's good. But whatever the circumstances that created you to be here, we are certainly glad that you're here. Much like that early family in Baghdad, we are here to take you in and to bring you to this country and welcome you. And we certainly wish you the best in your time here and as you begin your American dream. Thank you very much for coming to this country, and thank you for enriching us with your story. And I wish you all the best success as you go from here forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Robinson. And you can understand from that how he got elected mayor. But we're now at the heart of the ceremony and the time for the motion for admission and the oath of citizenship. And this, of course, is my favorite part of the ceremony, because in just a moment, all the candidates will stand and be asked to introduce themselves by giving us their name and their country of origin. And we will get a real sense of the uniqueness and diversity that I spoke of just a few moments ago. So at this time, I want to call upon Assistant United States Attorney Mr. Zachary Smith, to come forward and make the motion for admission.
May it please the court. On behalf of the United States, it is my pleasure to present these 81 candidates for naturalization, 13 of which seek permission from the court for a name change. Each has been personally examined under oath by a designated examiner. Each has demonstrated an understanding of the English language and knowledge and understanding of the fundamentals of the history and principles and form of government of these United States. Each has been found to be a person of good moral character, attached to the principles of the Constitution of the United States, and well disposed to the good order and happiness of the United States. The investigation by the government has been completed in each case, and each has been found to meet all requirements of law to be naturalized. Your Honors, on behalf of the government of the United States, I respectfully move that these petitions be granted, and that upon taking the oath of allegiance, each requested name change be granted, and that these petitioners be admitted as citizens of the United States of America.
And it is with great pleasure that I grant that motion.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the time that I always enjoy, when a candidate will stand and give us their name and their country of origin.
Lehigh Alcaraz, Philippines.
Excuse me just a moment. Can we get a little mic on that? Anybody help us with that? Test. Yes, let's start over. Okay.
Lehigh Alcaraz, Philippines.
Hassan
Lisa from Jordan.
Imad Al-Qadda from Syria.
Suzanne Holt from the United Kingdom.
Yumi Elizabeth Boyd from Nicaragua.
Vladimir Bunev from Moldova.
Marlene La Rosa Burglas from the Philippines.
My name is Charlie and I'm from Haiti.
My name is Rodaline Capistrano from Philippines.
Hugo Chacón, El Salvador.
Catherine Chamberlain from Netherlands.
My name is Anne and I'm from Vietnam.
My name is Arina Knut. I'm from Russia.
Pranjala Cooper from Thailand.
Vicky Cooper from Canada.
Christopher Croteau from Canada.
Martin Croteau from Canada.
Nisira Sarnicki from Philippines.
Nadia Dawson from Russia.
Melanie Donaghy from Canada.
Islam Alaban from Egypt.
Dee Fernandez from the Philippines.
Boris Garabaju from Moldova.
Leslie Geiger, Bermuda.
Taylor Kurizov from Russia.
Lenka Hall, Czech Republic.
Andrea Valentina from Ecuador.
Gabrielle Hawks from Germany.
Mark Olsen from England.
Melanie Jackson from Germany.
Elizabeth Johnson from Philippines.
Peter Jones from England.
Noral Baba from Syria.
Maria Cash from Bulgaria.
Pinky Kelly from Philippines.
I am Amer Khan from Pakistan.
My name is Lily and I'm from Moldova.
My name is Mercedes. I'm from Peru.
My name is Sienna. I'm from Panama.
My name is Sookyung Lee. I'm from the South Korea.
My name is Fidia Chacon. I'm from El Salvador.
Lorraine Mallard from England.
My name is Neha from India.
With Calcutta, Palestine.
Gina Morales from Philippines.
Mina Morgan, Egypt.
Morgan Kailong from Vietnam.
Norma Myers from South Africa.
Nazir Shah from Afghanistan.
My name is Maria Minh Nguyễn from Vietnam.
My name is Oanh Nguyên from Vietnam.
My name is Yafa from Pakistan.
Marcela Ulaja from Colombia.
My name is Alejandro Osorio from Colombia.
My name is Aaron Park from South Korea.
My name is Deep Patel from India.
My name is Nilesh Patel from India.
Setul Patel from India.
My name is Sujal Patel from India.
Laura Peach from South Africa.
Anthony Peach from South Africa.
Nicola Pounders from Scotland.
Howard Reddy from Ireland.
Dorothy Robinson, Hungary.
Mohammed
Muhammad Saidi, Iran.
Good morning to everyone. I'm Katia Sanchez from Peru.
I'm Zara Santos from the Philippines.
Hi, I'm Pratika. I'm from India.
My name is Rosemary Salon from Peru.
I'm Gemma Stout from England.
Yoas Thomas from Spain.
Daniel Tizeo, United Kingdom.
Juan Tony, Colombia.
Michael Williams from Trinidad.
Tadele Haftam Wendumu from Ethiopia.
Deborah Wright, Canada.
My name is Yuring Yang from China.
Hüseyin Yaşar, Turkey.
My name is Robert Zabilar from Poland.
Viola Журавель, Ukraine.
Okay, we got everybody. All right, the magic moment is here. Would the candidates please rise? And raise your right hand and repeat after me. I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by the law, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Welcome to our new city. Please have a seat. I want to ask if there is any number in the group that are sworn in as citizens here today with other members of their family. Do we have any family groups here? Would you please stand? Please, I saw another hand or two. Maybe one doesn't claim the other. But at any rate, I just always think that the ceremony in receiving your American citizenship is certainly one of the most important and memorable events of a lifetime. But we hope the ceremony is more memorable to you. But for several of the new citizens, as you just see, it's a special day, even more so because they have received their citizenship alongside other family members who received theirs as well. And family members being able to share that together is certainly extra special. So we do recognize you and thank you particularly for being with us here today. And I would also like to ask if there's anyone out there among you who is a member of the armed forces of the United States or have served at any time in the past as a member of the armed forces of the United States. Do you have any? There we go. And certainly before today, you took a different oath of which you swore to protect and defend this country as a member of the armed forces. And for the active duty or veteran in the room, and I myself am a retired naval aviator, we understand that the oath is not to be taken lightly, and it requires great duty, great honor, and great sacrifice. But this, to me, always been something that made your oath more special. And that's when you took the oath and swore to protect and defend this country. You did so even before you could officially call this country your own. And quite frankly, it was not until I began to preside over these ceremonies that I realized that we had people serving in our military forces who were not citizens of the country. And it makes me a little embarrassed that I didn't know that, because I'm sure I served alongside some of these folks. But I understand today, whether you know it or not, there are approximately 25,000 non-citizens serving in our military. And in fact, immigrants have stood and bravely fought with American citizens since the earliest days of this country's history. And if you think back about it, all of them who did fight in our original war revolution were non-citizens at that time. And what, I guess when I think about it, doesn't really surprise me, there are over 700 of immigrant servants in the military who have received our most prestigious Congressional Medal of Honor. So this certainly is an example of a commitment and a dedication that we should all take note of. We do salute you and thank you for your commitment to this country and to all of us. Thank you, sir. The next item on our program is the presentation of the colors, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the National Anthem. And before we recite the pledge and observe the National Anthem, let me say a word about our Pledge of Allegiance. It may seem to come a little bit late in these proceedings, but there's a reason for that. And that is so that our new citizens can join us in their very first official Pledge of Allegiance to the United States as United States citizens. Now, if you would all please stand for the presentation of the colors, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by our Ransom School students today. And then do remain standing for the national anthem performed by Dr. Day. Students.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I'm sure all of you see what I mean, who have never heard Dr. Day perform. There were no words that I could come up with to tell you of his magnificent talent. So we're all very, very happy and pleased that he has agreed to come back with us and participate here today. But you may retire the colors. And please see it. As I have mentioned before, this is an important occasion for all of us to consider how fortunate we are as Americans to live in this country that is truly free. For most of us in this room, American citizenship was a gift to us because we were lucky enough to have been born here. But for the new citizens, this was not so easy to come to this day. They have left their native homelands, and in many cases, family, friends, treasures, and left them all behind to pursue a life in this country. And they've had to earn their citizenship through years of hard work, study, preparation, discipline, and commitment. And I have said earlier that each of you I know has your own special story that leads you here to this day. And I wish we had time to hear each and every one of them, but certainly, as you know, time would not permit that. But I do feel it's important for all of us to have some understanding of the journey, because there is no way for those of us who got our citizenship the easy way, we won the lottery, but to fully appreciate the sacrifices that each of you and your families have made to get you to this day. And for that reason, we always ask a member of the new citizen group in each ceremony to share his or her story as to what led them to this date. And this has become a very meaningful and important part of our ceremony. So today I have asked one new citizen, somewhat at random, to speak briefly to us this morning about his journey to this country and his path to American citizenship. And that is Mr. Howard Reddy. I won't have to tell you where he's from after you hear him speak.
Judge Collier, Judge Cannon, Judge Burns, Mayor Robinson has left, but I had included him. Special guests, fellow new US citizens, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Judge Collier called me on Monday and he asked me if I'd be willing to make some remarks this morning, and I said, can I think about it and call you back? And because my immediate reaction was, I was humbled, but I pondered the question, why should I speak at such an important occasion? And as already has been said, each new US citizen here today has their own respective journey, and indeed, many have overcome significant obstacles to be here. And you know if that applies to you. And to those new citizens, indeed you are to be congratulated for your grit and determination. And I came to the conclusion that if I feel I have something worth saying, then I should say it. And of course, if you know anything about people from Ireland, you know we rarely, if ever, have nothing to say. And that's a quality that we like to share with the world by inviting them to kiss the Blarney Stone, even though we don't need to kiss it ourselves. So when I was thinking about my remarks, I did think about Constitution Day. That was on Tuesday. And if you've ever read, and when you do read the Federalist Papers and the Constitution, and consider the context in which they were written, certainly there is an emotional response that is considerable. And indeed, it is not surprising to me that the musical Hamilton has been such a success. So I was reflecting on how we carry the power of the US Constitution with us on a daily basis. We need a takeaway. And the good news is our founding fathers have given us that takeaway in the preamble, in the first three words of the preamble, we the people. And may I suggest that we the people is an invitation to strive to be great, to do great things. And of course, we all have our own personal circumstances. And I'm very lucky. I have a wonderful wife and family. And my wife, Hanan, is the reason that I'm here today. And Hanan is from Pensacola. And as I like to say, when you meet people in Pensacola or Northwest Florida with an accent, oftentimes there's a significant other involved. And that's my case. And I know that's the case for others here today. So I have my family here today. I also have a wonderful work family. And I have the privilege to serve as Vice President for Advancement at the University of West Florida. President Saunders is here. other members of the team that I work with on a daily basis. And I mention my work in the context of today being an invitation to do great things, to make an impact, to make a difference. At the University of West Florida, we have a noble mission that requires cathedral thinking. So what is that? Centuries ago in Europe, workers labored building cathedrals that they knew they would never see completed, but they built them anyway because they believed it was worth it. And even if you've never been to a cathedral in Europe, you know from the reaction of the fire at the Notre Dame in Paris that they were right. And I say all of that because as new US citizens today, we have the privilege and opportunity to help build a better tomorrow, to think big, to believe in something greater than ourselves. Today and every day, we the people are called to be greater together. And I trust I speak for all new US citizens when I say this has been an important process and that it is an honor to take on the responsibility of being a US citizen. And I know also on behalf of the new US citizens, we'd like to take this opportunity to recognize, as Judge Collier has, those who serve and have served in the United States Armed Forces. The American military has always been a beacon of hope, protecting freedom throughout history, here and around the world. So in conclusion, the very best of luck to each new citizen. Congratulations, good luck, and may God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. And he mentioned our president of UWF. They didn't tell me you were here. I certainly would have recognized you earlier, but I know that she would welcome any and all of you at, excuse me, at the University of West Florida. So please take her up on that. And now at this time, I want to recognize my colleagues here on the bench for a few words of welcome, and first call upon Judge Hope Cannon to speak to you. But before she does that, I do want to tell you something special about Judge Cannon. She too is a naturalized citizen, escaped from Vietnam at the tail end of the war, and it just shows you what you can accomplish with effort and dedication and that citizenship that you have today.
Thank you, Judge Collier, and good morning, everyone. I have only been in this position less than a year, but I agree with Judge Collier 100% that this is one of my favorite things to do as a judge, and I've had the opportunity to participate, and this is my third naturalization ceremony. As Judge Collier mentioned, I am an immigrant to this country, and I got my citizenship through the naturalization of my mother. I remember standing in front of a district judge in New Orleans, Louisiana, with my mom and siblings in the 1980s when she was sworn in. So I always tell people that my immigration story is my mother's immigration story. If it had not been for her strength, her determination, her sacrifices, and her desire to give us the opportunity to have the American dream, and opportunities that simply were not available in Vietnam in the 1970s, I would not be here today, and I would not have had the opportunity to be enjoying this moment with all of y'all. I know, and we've heard, like my family and my mother, all of y'all have your own stories. And that's regardless of how you got here, whether it was by plane, train, boat, or by foot. It is a combination of all of our stories that build the framework and shape America. And that's what makes it a great country. I remember the years that it took for my family and my mom to study and become a citizen here while she was working 2 jobs at night. So, but you and I and everyone in this room is a testament that there is a path to citizenship in the United States, and that the path that many countries do not offer. If a little girl from Vietnam who came over this country with barely anything can be sitting in here in front of you, just imagine what you, your grandkids, your kids will be able to accomplish. Citizenship in this country isn't based on race, creed, or origin. It doesn't matter what you look like, how little or a lot of money you have, where y'all came from, where you grew up, where you worship. We are all bound by one common thread. We are all Americans, equal under the eyes of the law. So even though you may have woken up this morning as a Chinaman, a German, a Russian, or a Haitian, you sit here today along with all of us as a proud American. So again, congratulations.
And I only can observe that you know she's been here a long time when she calls you all. And now my colleague from the State Court of Florida, Jeff Burns.
Well, this is clearly a federal ceremony because they let Hope go first, and your story was so touching. You know, the state court judge has to follow that up, and I don't think it's quite possible. But when I was first offered this opportunity to come here today, I selfishly took it up because I wanted to look in the eyes of all the new citizens here today, because my mother and her parents immigrated here right after World War II, after having spent 8 years on the run from the Nazis and the Soviets. And my mom was really young at the time. She doesn't remember it too well. She was just happy to be off the boat, is what she always said, because they stepped foot off in Ellis Island. But I know my grandma and my grandfather, they were really, really proud on that day, and they were just relieved to be here. And the citizenship that you've just been given is an opportunity that maybe you don't realize that you've been given at this point in time. And my grandfather's story is a good example of what you can achieve with it. He was trained as an engineer in Lithuania shortly before World War II started. And the best job he ever could have probably obtained with that degree was to work on farming equipment in Eastern Europe. Well, after World War II, his job prospects would have been even worse because he would have been sent back to the Soviet Union, and folks like him and my grandma, they would not have been allowed to even own a business in the Soviet Union at that time. Well, when they came over here, my grandfather, while they were working on becoming citizens, he worked at a car dealership as a mechanic. And the owner of that car dealership was so impressed with what he was doing, he actually paid for my grandfather to be sent to Detroit, Michigan, to General Motors headquarters. And as soon as he got there, he was offered a job on the spot after they talked to him for just a short period of time to come over and be an engineer designing engines for General Motors. He had time to go get his family and bring him over to Detroit, and within 10 years, he was the lead designer of the basic V6 engine that everyone drives around here today. And 10 years after that, he was having executives from Porsche, BMW, Mercedes come and wine and dine him, trying to get him to come back to Europe. But he was never going to go back to Europe after World War II, I can tell you that. But and then, of course, there was a four-letter F word that could never be mentioned in their house. They were General Motors people. They always were trying to poach him at the time. But to wrap it up, because I don't want to take too much time, because again, I'm a state court judge, and we're only given a couple minutes up here. His story should be maybe just one story amongst the many you've heard today to realize that we're all equals here today. There's no kings, queens, or royalty in this country. We're up here in these black robes, but the thing is, we see you on the street, we're all one and the same. And congratulations to each and every one of you today, and thank you for letting me be a small part of your day.
Thank you, Judge Byrne. And on behalf of the court and myself personally, I too want to congratulate you and welcome you on such a proud occasion as this for you and your families. But time is short, and you've probably heard too much of me already, so I'll keep my remarks very brief. First, I just want to thank you for the honor that you have provided me today, having the opportunity to grant your applications for citizenship and to administer the oath is one of the greatest privileges and honor of the position that I hold. And it's one that I take very, very seriously and to heart. And with my thanks, I also have a request, and that is I'd like to ask each of you, now that you are citizens, to take your place among the citizens of this country. You honor your new title by actively participating as a citizen and join with your fellow citizens to help make the choices that will make this country better. And always remember and respect the responsibilities that go hand in hand with the privileges that you receive today with your citizenship, such as voting, helping your neighbor and your community, and of course, our personal favorite, and that is serving on juries. So to everyone, this country of ours, America, is truly special. In the history of the world, there's never been a more generous nation or one more committed to the cause of freedom, of liberty, and justice. Congratulations to all of you again on becoming part of her story. And God bless all of you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you. And now we have certain presentation that we would like to make. And one is that we have a flag that will be assisted again by our students from Ransom. And one flag would be awarded to our wisest, which means most experienced new citizen. And that is Rule 7 Yasser. Would you please stand? Wisest and most experienced. We'll leave it to her to tell you how much experience, if she cares to. And then our youngest new citizen, and I know won't rival Judge Cannon, who was just a baby, but that is Pratika Shah. And I doubt that she would mind and probably take great pride. She's 19. And now, to bring this ceremony to an end, it will be a patriotic celebration of song by Dr. Leo Day. And I could only suggest that you strap down.
Thank you, Judge Collier. I'd like to also extend my hearty welcome to my new brothers and sisters into this country. It's awesome having you here. I hope I get to meet some of you down the road. And what a joy it is to be home and to hear Howard Reddy speak. So you guys, I don't know if you're impressed with the speaking, he's also an opera singer. And he has that thing about him that when he sings "Oh Daddy Boy," not only do all the women want to marry him, Hanan, the men want to marry him as well. In all seriousness, it's great to see you, Hanan. I've had Hanan and Howard over to Olive to sing with me a couple of times on my classical Christmas concerts and stuff. It's just good to be in the house to see y'all. And also, I want to tell you very briefly my story about this place and why I come back 5 times every year. I have sung at nearly every naturalization ceremony for the last 12 years. So this is no joke for me. And I want to give a shout out to the woman who started all of this, Joanne R. Where are you, Joanne? Joanne, she worked for the court for how many years? 38 years, and she retired 6 years ago. She is the one who got me into this trouble. So thank you, Joanne. It's good to see you. When the court called me 12 years ago and asked me to sing at a naturalization ceremony, my immediate response was, absolutely not. You're crazy. I'm not doing that. And here's the reason why I wanted to say you're crazy. Because I married my Jamaican princess, and she was naturalized in this country. And when we showed up for the ceremony, it was absolutely embarrassing. The lights didn't work in the room. It was raining outside. What was drips from the ceiling. And the judge stood up and he said, raise your hand. It's done in about 5 minutes. So if you think this is long, trust me, it could be really short and really bad. And that's why, but something said, say yes. And I showed up to the court, and I was so elated, Judge Collier, to see the lights on. The air conditioning was on. People were happy, and there was a school doing the Pledge of Allegiance and everything. And I said, this is the way to welcome people into our country. So Judge Collier, give you a shout out to everybody and everybody in the court. Job well done. Job well done. So I'm not the speaker, I'm the singer. I've done this for 12 years, so I've earned a few moments to speak. Amen. So my joy and my love is opera theater. And I love going around the world screaming at people musically. And that means that, you know, Hannah and Howard, we've studied a lot of different languages and we sing in those languages. So I thought it would be really cool to welcome the new brothers and sisters by singing one of our national treasures, America the Beautiful, in languages that you might recognize. I pray you recognize your language if I sing it. Amen. So I will do today Russian, Korean, some of my Korean brothers and sisters here, German, Spanish, and I have like 5 or 6 others, but they're not being naturalized today, so I won't sing those just to keep it a little shorter. America the Beautiful. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of gray, for purple mountains' majesties above the fluted plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Прекрасная страна небес, янтарник свет полей, с пурпурными ти горами, равнины из садов. America, America, Господь хранит тебя. Венчает братской добротой с утра и до зари. 오 아름다운 하늘과 환골몰 겨울보라 웅장한 화려과 안상 풍성한 열매 아메리카 아메리카 하나님 은혜라 형제 사랑과 멸관 영원히 빛나리 so wunderschön mit weitem Himmel und wiegenden Feldern, prachtvolle Berge, über fruchtbare Erde, Amerika, Amerika, Gottes Gnade fällt auf dich und krönt dich mit Brüderschaft von Meer zu Meer. O hermosa del cielo azul, de valles de esplendor, por majestuosas montañas lilas, abajo la próspera de América, Dios rociosa gracia en ti, y lu corono de bien hermandad del mal mar brillante. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. America, America, God bless America.
As Dr. Day mentioned, he's been doing this for a goodly number of years. We're probably the only court in the country that has a naturalization ceremony, which includes America the Beautiful in 6 or 8 languages, just as many as there are of you. And what he doesn't really tell you is we plan these ceremonies around Dr. Day and his schedule. Well, this does conclude our ceremony here today. And again, I want to thank those who participated. Mayor Grover Robinson, Dr. Day, of course, the students and teachers from Ransom Middle School, and the United States Marine Corps Color Guard, and the outstanding members of our court staff who do all the dirty work and get very little credit. And I want to thank all of you for coming and being with us on this special day. I would ask the new citizens to remain here just a few moments after this to be sure that you have your certificates and such as you leave. And also, we have someone who would take pictures here if you wish to have a picture taken after the ceremony. And I do remind you to please stop by the Superintendent of Elections. I think he has a place right outside here so that you can register to vote. And again, bless you and thank you and welcome.